Water beast, dragon, giant eel, prehistoric marine mammal. Just a few of the names that have been used to describe the fabled creature, the Loch Ness Monster.
We saw the head and the four humps and all the body.
Can you tell me anything about its colour?
Yes, it was the very same colour as an elephant.
Affectionately known as Nessie. And a gathering has begun in the Scottish Highlands to search the loch in a way experts say has never been done before. Volunteer monster hunters from around the world have flown in for the event dubbed The Quest, the biggest hunt for Nessie in half a century.
What we're asking our volunteers to do is to hopefully record all kind of manner of natural behaviour on the loch. The technology we'll be using, it'll be infrared and thermal drones from the above. That's never been done before.
Tales of the monster really took off in 1933 when hotel manager Aldy McKay burst into a local bar telling regulars about the whale-like fish she'd just seen. Since then, Nessie's captured the global imagination and entered pop culture, sometimes portrayed as a friendly companion.
It's good to see you, boy.
Other times a terrifying creature of the night. But even if the search squad fails to shine a light on the ever-elusive Nessie, the groundbreaking quest won't be in vain.
I thought it was just a brilliant opportunity and just great to be part of the legend and seeing all the people that are as enthusiastic in the search.
This isn't the first big nosy for Nessie. Starting in 2018, an Otago scientist led another big international monster hunt and may have already solved the 1,500-year-old mystery. And that very scientist joins us now, Professor Neil Gemmell from the University of Otago. So Neil, based on your research, what do you think Nessie is?
Oh, well, I think Nessie is the figment of many people's imagination, sadly. I think when you go to Loch Ness, there's a temptation to look wistfully out across the water and to see things that aren't, that are just a normal phenomenon. They're logs, they're reflections on the water. You know, it's much more exciting to think about it as being something mysterious or unknown. And that's what people have a tendency to do when they go to Loch Ness.
You did a bit of testing of the water, I believe, in Loch Ness. Do you think, of all the creatures, if she's real, what would she be?
Well, we went and we used this technology called environmental DNA to look in the waters of Loch Ness. And basically the rationale there is if there's a biological entity in Loch Ness, we should be able to detect it in its DNA through traces that it would leave behind, whether it be skin or hair or what have you. And of course, there's the idea that it might be an extinct marine reptile or various other giant creatures that inhabit Loch Ness. So we tested each of those sequentially. The only thing that we landed on that we couldn't exclude as a possibility is the idea that there might be an eel in Loch Ness, and indeed there are lots of eels in Loch Ness. The question, of course, is whether they are gigantic and therefore monstrous, and we don't know the answer to that.
I want to know, as a respected scientist, do you get any confused looks from your academic colleagues when they hear you're investigating the Loch Ness Monster?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, certainly when I first suggested it, people were like, what the heck's he doing? But, I mean, this was quite a calculated approach. What we really wanted to do was to showcase the science of environmental DNA. That was the hook, and as it turns out, the monster was just an enormous piece of bait, which has been extraordinarily good for us in terms of communicating the message about the power of this technology to investigate our natural world.
I wonder if the Loch Ness locals might hope the mystery isn't solved. I imagine tourism might disappear pretty quickly once it is.
Yeah, that's always a risk, isn't it? The nice thing about it is that it's actually very hard to prove, almost impossible to prove a negative. So every scientific study that's ever gone to Loch Ness has come away with no conclusive evidence of its presence. I think it speaks to something really deep in the heart of humans, which is that we love a mystery, and there's almost nothing we love more than a mystery than being the person that solves it.
Neil Gemmell, cheers for your time.
Kia kite ana.
Kia ora, hey, welcome to the project. It's Monday night and Paddy Gower's here. Oh, Paddy, are you feeling the magic of Loch Ness?
Well, I actually enjoyed the science from the professor there, and I've got a mystery that I think he should solve, a sort of Loch Ness of New Zealand, a monster or a taniwha, depending on who you talk to, that just keeps showing up, and I can never really understand why it isn't extinct. That's Winston Peters.
There is actually there is a real New Zealand mystery like that. Can I encourage you, if you want something a little closer to home, to look up the Fiordland moose? And there's one guy I had the pleasure of attending a talk from Ken Tustin, the Fiordland moose man. He says it's not even a mystery anymore. He says he has found enough evidence that there actually is a moose down there, and so it's just whether you're prepared to believe the evidence or not.
The problem with that is if they find the moose, it's over. Thing was with Nessie, it doesn't exist, so they'll never find it, so the search will never stop.
Yeah.
It's like that thing, what do men think? The answer's nothing. But no one believes that, so there's a whole industry over explaining what men think, and it'll never
See, you
stop.
say Nessie doesn't exist. I mean, that professor who's spent a lot of time on this says it doesn't exist, but I'm always going to believe, because who cares? Like, I'm not hurting anyone by believing she's out there. No one, it doesn't affect their lives, so...
Well, yeah, that's unless they think there's a conspiracy that the government knows Nessie is out there and is keeping it from us, and they form a sort of
Is that
army
breaking news on the project?
Overthrow it.
Now you are sounding like Winston Peters.